United Matters channel, it's the 4th of May. Ten Hag, Jon Willock's meeting scheduled this week, and it's said to happen before this week. And get to know, before 5th, that is Sunday this week, this meeting will take place, and obviously Jon Willock will obviously have what we call a dialogue with Erik Ten Hag about the future for the club of Man United, and obviously explain to him why things are not going on very well. This has gone ahead to be revealed to us by Simon Stone, and Simon Stone is a United correspondent for the last 30 years of Man United for BBC. So, good morning, mates of the United Matters channel. Hope you're really having a fantastic stay wherever you are, and this is how we've gone ahead obviously commence our Saturday early morning story coming in through, and I've gone ahead to let you know that we've gone ahead to hit our milestone. You know, we said for videos, we started it off with the shambolic budget that we're really having. Then we added on a story of Erik Ten Hag. What was the story all about? Let me check here. Because all I know, this is the 4th story, and we've gone ahead to climax our day by this story. And the story was all about Bruno, Ten Hag breaking silence on Frankie de Jong and Harry Kane transfers to Man United. And then the story about Bruno Fernandes, injury headache given to Erik Ten Hag and his other fellow people down there. So let's see close to 300 likes watching this video, and don't forget to subscribe, because I know how you people have been eagerly waiting for video of this stature to obviously come to you and obviously give us the best that you guys really deserve. And this is Rock and David. You can as well call me RD. Continue to subscribe, and don't forget to obviously keep it what it is right now. And then David Austin has also gone ahead and obviously told us about the decision onto Erik Ten Hag on either keeping him or sacking him. Then Adam Crafton has something to say also about Erik Ten Hag. He works for the Athletic, and looks like the Athletic are really having a very huge goal in here for you. And even Erik Ten Hag has spoken about the arrival of Jon Willock, the new the new technical director for the club of Man United. Now, let's obviously start off. Let's put the ignition and start it off in this style. Simon Stone, Erik Ten Hag is scheduled to have a discussion with Jon Willock this week about the state of the roster and the issues he has encountered. Now, this is where I tell people that if at all you've been campaigning to say to it that Erik Ten Hag, you want him out, then you should obviously sit down and relax. All we can tell you, relax and float, because it's not gonna go your way. If it was all about not really seeing Erik Ten Hag retain the job at Man United, obviously there would have been no reason of really having this dialogue, because a decision would have gone ahead to be already made. So Erik Ten Hag is going to sit with Jon Willock and really have a very huge discussion about what the team is all about. And Erik Ten Hag, I trust him onto that. He will sit him down and tell him A, B, C, D, and Jon Willock will be given facts on how Man United is going to be performing those days when he really had his players, and how we've gone ahead to perform when we never had our players. He explained it to Gary Neville that last season, when we had our back four and we never had very many injuries, you saw what happened. We finished third, we competed in every trophy, and we played in 2 finals. So the difference is all about the injuries that we're going to get. So looks like they'll be trying to find a solution for everything that is going to be told to this guy. Now, that meeting will be held, and its results will be told to us in here onto the United Matters channel. And I tell you, it's going to be huge, because Ten Hag is really good at the job, and he knows what the modern football requires. And we obviously tell them, please, I went ahead to obviously tell them that I need a fitness trainer, and they never went ahead to get me a fitness trainer. You know, I'm working all these things myself. So it shows you how bad the Glazers are. You know, they could obviously have employees who sit and work from home and pay them handsomely, and not getting a physical trainer or a fitness coach to keep our players fit. Very, very, very disgusting. If a team in Africa, like for the national team the national team of my country where I was born and bred, has a fitness coach, how come a side like Man United cannot really have a fitness coach. Very, very bad of Manchester United. And I think those are some of the things he's going to even tell Jon Willock. He also tell him that I wanted Harry Maguire and Scott McTominay to get out of this club, and they kept them here. I never wanted them here. I never wanted Aaron Wan-Bissaka here. They kept him here. So I think you, as a person who knows exactly what technical is all about and really discussing lots of things here, you should go ahead and obviously get the best of the best into the mix and give us loads of things that I'm gonna hate to obviously see to it that propel my team into a stable moment. If it stabilizes, I'll give you the results that you demand. And in the third season, teams will obviously demand for the league. That is it. And I tell you, if Ten Hag is given what he wants, even if we get in like 4 or 5 players only, Ten Hag will compete for the title. I tell you. Because look at Arsenal. If those players of Man United can integrate in there very well, you know that you're going to have to add a Todibo in that central defense partner with Lisandro Martinez. You have a CDM to partner with Kobe Mainoo. You have another centre forward to obviously compete with Lisandro Martinez. You have a right back to compete with Dalot and another central defender. 5 players enough for us. Put them into that team. That team can compete and really match levels and intensity of other teams. That is it. With the board we are having, these players are really going to be sent a very clear signal that if you can't do a BCD, put up your hand and get out before the preseason starts. This in your side, before this season is wrapped up, they'll have to sit these players down and send them a clear warning that if you don't do a BCD, we are going to really throw you out of this club. If you feel you cannot do a BCD, put up your hand, we'll really sell you off. And we tell your agent, before we return to the preseason, he would have gone ahead to find your team that takes you. This is what this board is all about. They've gone ahead to sanction so they're going ahead to sanction Rashford for meeting, a story that I'm going to be really following up tomorrow. And don't be shocked when I bring it into your eyes tomorrow. And it's really going to be one of those that you love to really watch. Then, Simon Stone added, sources at Man United have suggested it could be the 2025-2026 season before the club are really able to flex their muscles again. So, if you're talking about the club flexing their muscles again, it means that Man United to think of sacking Ten Hag, it might really be 2025, 2026 if at all he fails, meaning that they're going to give him a season of 2024 and 2025. If he fails to prove himself, then he will be sacked. And by the way, they won't even sack him because there is what we call how can I term it? There is what we call it's called, what is it termed like? It's what there is what we call it's termed as when he came in through at the club of Man United, Ten Hag signed a contract of 3 years plus a further option year. Last season, the Glazers were in negotiations, obviously extend his contract by a further 1 or 2 years, but I think they felt like it's a little bit early because they couldn't do it as they're really negotiating for the coming in of Ineos or Sheikh Jassim Al Thani. So what they did was they really paused that. But for Ineos, they're going to use that and give him 1 full season. If he fails, they'll sack him and he'll walk out without having a compensation. So he won't be compensated. But right now, you sack Ten Hag, you know where we are into. I told you, Manchester United has only £100 million to spend minus sales. And we have really a very poor reputation when it comes to selling players. So, right now, they are willing to keep him until 2025. If at all he fails in 2025, then 2025, 2026, they will flex their muscles and obviously look at other managers like Zinedine Zidane and very many others. So that's what this guy is really telling us. And when you hear him say, he rarely puts out stories, but his story is always coming through from what we call concrete sources, as he's the long-serving correspondent of Man United in media that I've gone here to see, and he has been reporting for BBC on Man United news for the last 30 years. David Austin comes in through and says, there is still no decision yet from Ineos regarding Ten Hag. Jon Willock and Ineos will be assessing the situation. However, Man United are still planning with him for the time being, and there is no moment to alter that at the moment. So, this is where I put everyone saying they are going to sack Erik Ten Hag. They're not going to sack him. I tell you, they're not going to sack him. If everything was really normal at the side of Man United, then nothing would have gone ahead to happen. I tell you, we would have gone ahead and said Erik Ten Hag should be sacked. You understand? But because we are operating in an abnormal state, there is no reason as to why Erik Ten Hag should be sacked. And I've always gone ahead to obviously run polls here on whether Ten Hag should be sacked or not. And 70% of you on this channel want us to keep Erik Ten Hag. 30% want Erik Ten Hag out. You get? So, all we have to come out and really admit on is Ten Hag needs a season when Ineos is ahead of him. That's the season they need. And I tell you, there is no movement to alter that at the moment. So Man United are not looking to really alter this. I know very many journalists have failed to obviously put themselves onto an exclusive end of the story. They really say they are still in love with Erik Ten Hag, but a final decision will be made after the end of the season. I tell you, if there was a movement to sack Erik Ten Hag, there would have already gone ahead to be interviews, and talking to managers. That is it. Because managers are now started to go to different clubs. You look at Liverpool, they have Ancelotti in. Bayern Munich is really working to get to get a manager in. The Germany Federation is convincing Nagelsmann to stay. So managers are positioning themselves for the jobs, and if Man United wanted a new manager, they would have gone ahead to say, all right, we want so and so. But with Zinedine Zidane learning English, it looks like maybe Joan Claude is like, all right, he might be the one to obviously succeed Erik Ten Hag. But I think their plan is to give Erik Ten Hag a very good go, to obviously come in through and redo the needful at the club of Manchester United. Now, Adam Crafton has said, for now, United continue to insist they are planning with Erik Ten Hag in mind for next season. Although Ineos will not hesitate if it sees sufficient evidence that change is needed. Ineos believes that Man United's executive team above Erik Ten Hag did not provide him with the greatest chance to succeed, as well as a lack of clear alternatives, and also the cost of firing him and hiring a replacement. Now, this is what people don't look at. And if you are a United fan outside there who believes that United should obviously come out and really find themselves in a position of sacking a manager to replace him with another, and you think it's really gonna come out and really happen like that, it comes with what we call financial implications. Erik Ten Hag and his team will need £20 million to obviously go. You get? Then, after Erik Ten Hag and his team, you'll need like a Zinedine Zidane, and all of the managers United is looking at they will come in through with more salaries, because they have a reputation bigger than that of Erik Ten Hag. For example, you talk about Zidane, you'll have to pay him a lot. Tuchel, you'll have to pay him a lot. Talk of who else? There is Antonio Conte is not in the mix. Hans Flick. And apart from that, all right, let's say we'll need £30 million to bring in that manager. And that manager will come in and tell you, I want new players. You'll need to give him a budget of like £250 million. Something that Ineos doesn't have to spend because they only have £100 million minus sales. We all know they have very many players they can sell and really get in some huge amount of money, but that's not a given. because some players obviously put out hard conditions to leave the club of Man United. So if you're thinking about that, sacking Erik Ten Hag alone calls for £20 million, bringing in a new manager and his staff, sign-on fee plus will cost United like £30 million, and then that manager will call in for a budget to really spend. You understand? That's what you guys need to know. So that's why I tell you Ten Hag is here to stay, because of those reasons. And I tell you, Ten Hag is staying here on merit, not because that United has no option, you know. And lastly, Ten Hag was asked about Jon Willock, and this is what he had to say. Very close. We have to form a partnership. Very impressed. We are a little behind in the process, so we will go and speed up the process. I met with him yesterday for the first time this week. We will not have so much time, and I know his profile. A lot of experience in youths and 1 year at Southampton. I'm looking forward to our partnership. He said this towards the game of Burnley, right? So they're going to be having a meeting this week and see how things are really going to really do the needful. So it looks like they know that they are really a little bit behind, and they need to obviously speed up the process to obviously match to the level they're supposed to be. Because for Erik Ten Hag, he's an aggressive manager. He is really a hands-on manager, and he wants to be there. He knows to it that he needs 4 or 5 quality players in that squad to see to it that he matches the levels of Arsenal. I've been very evident that this season, this is going to have to be very evident that this season, if Manchester United had some players with them, we wouldn't have gone ahead to lose 12 games this season. You know, we've lost 12, and Arsenal has gone ahead to lose 5, and they're topping the Premier League table. Meaning that if United had some quality players, okay, let's say we lost 5. You add 21 points onto the 54 you're really having. How many draws? 6 draws. So we are almost in the same ilk with the side of Arsenal. So it shows you that we wouldn't have been far off from the title, and Arsenal are going to play 1 more game than us. So that means get in players, Todibo in the central defense, you get in a CDM, you get in a player to partner with Rasmus Højlund, you get in a Frimpong. I tell you, that team totally changes. It changes into a proper team. And we've always said, if any manager is to turn around the team, he has to see to it that he gets out 95% of the players he found there. And Erik Ten Hag, he's soon really getting it, because he has signed Onana, Lisandro Martinez, Malacia, Casemiro, Anthony, Rasmus Højlund, Eriksson, Mason Mount, right? He has also brought in 8 players on a permanent basis, right? So after those 8 players, he has gone ahead to usher in the youngsters. Oh, they are 9 with Anthony. They are 9. Then you have to talk about Garnacho, Kambuala, Kobe Mainoo, right? All those are youngsters he's ushering into the team, plus Amad Diallo. You can count all those players onto him. Now, the players that are not his will be Luke Shaw, Dalot, Rashford, Bruno Fernandes. So if we add on more 5, that means more players that he never brought in will be having less playing time. So he's building a team that really understands him. So guys, thank you very much for watching it through. I go by the names of Rock and David. Tell me your thoughts about Ten Hag, Jon Willock's dialogue happening this week. What do you think the resolutions are going to be when they really come to an end on this meeting? Rock and David is my name. I sign out for now. See you guys. Good morning. Those going to bed, good night, and may the living to God bless you abundantly. The Muslims, Barakallahu Fikum. We out. Early morning, we'll open up with how these players of United trained ahead of the game of Crystal Palace. Bye-bye.